Hello, I'm Hal Ottaway with the Wichita Postcard Club, and it's time once again for a postcard of the week. This week, I want to show you a real photo postcard, and collectors a lot of times abbreviate things, when they're emailing or writing or talking about it, and they call it RPPC, real photo postcard. In any case, this is a whole uh, topic in postcard collecting that has become very popular in my lifetime. And before the 1970s, these were referred to by dealers sometimes as black and whites. And they maybe didn't even bring them to their postcard show, or maybe they had them on the back table or even under the table sometimes. They were just not popular. What was selling big then was uh, lighthouses and covered bridges and just all kinds of things that are not so popular today, perhaps. But this postcard that I'm showing is from a little town of Hayne, Hayne, Kansas. And I looked this up on the map and so forth and find that it's just northeast of Liberal, Kansas. And Liberal, Kansas is way down in the southwest corner of Kansas, the state. And it's kind of at the edge, going into Oklahoma or you're close to Texas and not that far from New Mexico for one reason or another. But this postcard has been a long-time favorite of mine. I can't remember when I bought it, but every once in a while I run across it in stacks or piles or whatever when you're looking for something else. Then sometimes you find neat things too that you forgot you had. This is the view of Hayne, Kansas, and I did a little searching and I found that it was an unincorporated town, and it was on the Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific Railroad. It they had their post office. They got post office status in 1908, and they had that status until 1925, when I guess we could assume that the town kind of dried up, maybe, or people moved away, or for one reason or another, and they lost their post office, and that was in 1925. So it's been a long time since 1925, almost 100 years since they've had a post office. But just take a look at this card. If you're familiar with Southwest Kansas or even a lot of parts of Western Kansas, it's pretty flat. Things are pretty level, but a little ups and downs and gullies and things like that. But this is just so forlorn. It just shows, there's no trees that we can see, not even a tall bush, really. But here on the left is a building, and on the side of the building, it says grocery store. We can't read the billboard that's on the front of the building. It's just at the wrong angle. We can't read that. But look at that building. It appears to be probably a two-story building. And you wonder, did the people live upstairs and they had their grocery store downstairs? Perhaps. You can see in the center of this building is a chimney coming up. And so that was probably attached down below to a big stove that gave heat in the winter. And in the winter time, oh my golly, back then, well, even today it would be cold probably in Hayne, Kansas, but it could get awfully cold, lots of snow, blizzards, lots of problems brought on with weather changes and so forth. And just being there with, say, a family and children and growing up, it must have been something. Over here on to the right, you see some lower buildings. I'm thinking perhaps this railroad that we know that ran by it probably was just on the other side, or may have been on the other side of this grocery store, going from the left to right. And uh, there's uh, there's a couple of poles here, and you wonder about that. Did these poles was were they attached to a telegraph perhaps that ran along beside the railroad? We're not sure. I don't. There's no good book to go to or link to check into to see much as far as history for Hayne. But it's just a neat, discontinued town. That's from a post office standpoint. It's just a neat image, and it shows Kansas in its earliest days out in that part of southwestern Kansas. But a great card, and something that collectors enjoy, and to show somebody else, and it's so different than what we usually see. And that's one thing collectors like, is something different, that's unusual, and something you want to show somebody. Well, you won't believe this, look at that old Hayne used. I don't know for sure if that's the way to pronounce the town. It could have been Haney, but it's Hayne. So I'm just saying it might be Hayne, Kansas. But that's our postcard for the week this week. We thank you for coming, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week when we find something else to show. Bye bye.